Good morning, Writing 394. This is Professor Anderson with a little bit of a heads up about week 5. Before we begin, I just want to clear up a little bit of confusion. So if you'll notice in the assignments folders, each of the assignments, as I've shared multiple times, have a rough draft, and the assignment folder shares with you the actual due date. Now, here's where the confusion lies, I think, for most, and it definitely is for me too. I have to be honest about this. Is that the content for each of these items doesn't necessarily correspond to the assignment due date. And the reason for that is, if you'll know, this is week 5. And if we were following this, you would be delivering your first copy of the rough draft of your final paper. So I've slowed the pace down a little bit. I make certain that each week you have a writing assignment, but those writing assignments are rough draft, some feedback, then final copy, rough draft, some feedback, and final copy. The real pacing of this course asks you to, let me see if I can pull this up on the side here. Week 1, writing assignment number 2. Week 1, writing assignment number 1, the communication barrier. Week 2, jump straight into that synthesis of literature review. Week 4, last week, the directions are there for your memo. And that's what's due this week. That's writing assignment number 3. And so I'm jumping back. We are in week 5. We're moving forward. We haven't stopped. I just want to share with you the writing assignment. You'll find the parameters in week 4, even though we are technically in week 5. And your rough draft is due this week. Now, one of the exciting things about this is that it really helps to focus your attention. And this writing assignment number 3 is designed for you to identify who the decision maker with respect to your issue may be. So sometimes that decision maker is just your first, the first higher up in your chain of command. Sometimes it's a group of decision makers. Sometimes it's, a corporate entity that's outside. But understanding who and where and what the decision-making body is helps you to focus how to respond and how to present materials about your proposal. And that's the whole gist of this entire course, is figuring out what to say, to whom, and how. So I've used this little graphic. It's up inside of this announcement, and I call it the stoplight. And I want you to think of these first three writing assignments like this. The communication problems in the workplace, so the communication barriers, asked you to take a look at 3 separate types of communication issues, at minimum of 3. You could do more, but to look at 3 kinds of issues inside of your workplace. And so that's what you did in writing assignment number 1. Now, you were to pick one of these and determine an issue inside of that. And that's the fundamentals of your literature review. So you selected one of these 3 general topics and then focused it into a problem that results or is generated by that communication barrier. And this is your synthesis of literature review, where you took that one problem and you you researched it and determined 3 broad themes about it. Now, this next one, writing assignment number 3, the memo to a decision maker, asks you to take into consideration this problem, the scholarly literature available on this problem, and determine what is one task or research element that you could conduct to determine how this broad topic affects your individual workplace. And that's really what you're doing, is you're determining in writing assignment number 3 2 separate things. 1, who is it that is the decision maker with respect to this problem? And 2, what type of additional evidence would I need in order to persuade this decision maker or these decision makers? So that's the gist of writing assignment number 3. I'm going to pull back here. And that is due this week. Let me go back into the assignments folder. You'll see your rough draft for writing assignment number 3 is due on July the 7th. And then take a look here. you have two separate, whoa, wait a minute. This is all mixed up. Your writing assignment or your memo to a decision maker should be July 14th, but since I've published it incorrectly, I guess you get an extra week there. You'll notice also the rough draft for your final paper is due July the 14th. So the rough draft for writing assignment number 3 is due on the 7th, and then the rough draft for your final paper is due on the 14th. So I hope that helps to give you a little bit of understanding of why and how I've parsed out or pulled out the deadlines and due dates for these assignments. So in this week, you're really focused, the material focuses on that final paper, but we're really working towards the writing assignment number 3, which is the memo. And I want to take just a second to talk about that, because what's very key as I close that is in the memo to a decision maker, one of the most important elements is following a template. I mean, that's really what we're going to do in our final paper. Our research-based report follows a template. Just like each one, you'll notice from your feedback, I'll say, you really followed that example. There's a reason why we leave them, because these different types of writing assignments are designed. They're different types of very specific business writing material, and they follow certain templates. So it's key and important for you to follow this exact template. Make certain that you have all of this information in here and you're using this exact format to include the headings. So sorry, this is a little bit of a longer intro to week 5, and I hope that I'm clarifying that the material that needs to be submitted can be found in week 4, but we are still moving forward in the course. So it is the beginning of week 5, and I look forward to this week with you.